All right, guys. I used to do advice videos on YouTube and I really enjoyed it, and I want to do them again. So I posted about that on Instagram, and I have some questions. I received some questions that I have feedback on. So I'm not going to read your name if you send me a question unless you'd like me to. So if you'd like me to, just put that in your question. But the first one that I have feedback on today says, I'd like advice on how to navigate life with a sick parent or how to deal with having to be a parent to your parent. I know a lot of people that would benefit from a conversation on that. Heavily relate to this question, and I've done a lot of work in this area in my own life. And what I have discovered is that in navigating your relationship with your parents, which encompasses all of the things that you mentioned, because sickness happens in a relationship with your parents, sort of like not knowing who is in charge happens in a relationship with your parents. There are 4 elements to focus on one at a time, and for me, those have been understanding, awareness, empathy, and then unconditional love as a practice, because it's almost impossible to love unconditionally. Maybe, when you're like 60 and you've practiced for that long, but it's really, really hard. So the first one, understanding, what I mean by that is try to really understand who your parents are as people in the world, separate from their relationship to you. So if you don't know much about their childhoods, ask them a lot of questions. Ask them what their parents were like. Ask them how their siblings treated them. Ask them how they felt day to day in their home. Ask them about their dreams and whether or not they were supported. Ask what their relationship was like with their mother and their father, or both of them. What type of conversations did they have? Ask them how their parents made them feel. Ask them what their fears were when they were young. Get to know really these people and their environments and what shaped and molded them. Because I think the more information you have, the more you're going to understand the type of people that you are interacting with based on all of their prior experience. I have found that has really helped me, seeing my parents and understanding them for who they are based on their upbringing, based on their circumstances, based on their limitations and access, to experiences. Based on all of that, it helps me understand who they are as individuals in the world. Awareness, the next step, I guess, or level, whatever you want to call it, awareness for me has been about being aware of what I reasonably am able to receive from my parents. What is there for me to access? Aware of their limitations and also what they're able to give to me. I have done this work, so now I know what type of support I can get from my mother and my father. And if there's something else that I need that doesn't fall within what they're capable of giving me, I have adopted parents in the world to reach out to for that type of guidance, for that type of support, for that type of feedback, for whatever it is that I need that I am aware that my parents can't provide to me. I've taken the pressure off of them to be everything I need them to be in this ideal world, or my ideal idea of what parents can do for their kids. And I've sort of just divvied up the responsibility to other mentors in my life that I call upon. They can be older than you, and they also don't have to be. Just determine what it is that you can get from them, and anything else, just try to recruit people to get some version of that from, so that you take the pressure off of these people who are, honestly, here's the truth, doing their best to give you what you need. If they've never shown you that they can do differently than they are doing right now, that they can behave in a different way, that means that they can't. It means that they can't. Now, awareness can happen in anybody's life. Awareness can kick in. People can go, oh, there are these things that the people that I love need from me, and I'm ready to do the work to change them and get better so that everyone benefits. That awareness leads to a lot of work and a lot of patience for everybody involved, because change takes a lot of time. So honestly, just release yourself from the need for your parents to change in order for your relationship to get better. Understand where they're coming from. Be aware of what they can actually offer you. Divvy up the responsibility, and then move into empathy. Just really try to understand that they are giving you what they're capable of giving you. And if you feel like you want more from your parents, part of empathy and part of like sort of laying the groundwork for a better relationship, this is the hardest thing in the world, is giving them more than you have previously given them. You have to just start leading by example. It sucks because you feel like indignation about it. You shouldn't have to be the one to do it. I know, I've done it. And also the rewards either don't come at all or they come very slowly. But I have noticed a shift in my relationship with my parents because I have done the work to change the way that I interact with them, and I've done the work to understand them, and I've done the work to be aware of what it is that is available to me. And for me, the empathy was just like a next step. And I have to tap into it actively. Just understand that everybody has limitations, okay? And your ideals for your parents are most likely not going to be met. Just like people in your life have ideal, requirements from you that you can't meet because you're a human being with your own limitations as well. Understand that your parents are human beings with their own limitations. And then the only thing left to do, especially you mentioned illness, I'm being very challenged to do this right now because my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and she doesn't believe in traditional treatment. And so I have had to take the opportunities with my parents that infuriate me or scare me or make me sad. I've had to take those opportunities as practice toward learning how to love unconditionally. My Aunt Terry gave me some beautiful feedback when I was trying to figure out how to navigate my own experience with my mom's cancer journey. And I was also trying to figure out how to communicate with her on it and what was appropriate for me to say and what type of interaction was appropriate for me to have and just like how to deal with this whole thing. And she said, when your mom was raising you, she tried to control the things that you said and that you did, and it just caused tension and you didn't listen. And now the tables are reversed, and she's making decisions that you fundamentally disagree with. And what you can do for her is love her unconditionally the way that you would have liked to have been loved unconditionally. For your choices that you were sure were right. And that's what I've chosen to try to do. It is very hard. What helps is before you go into a conversation with your parents, set an intention. Just take a minute and say, here's what I want from this conversation. Here's what I don't want to do. And then try to stick to those intentions. Sometimes I'll make it halfway through a conversation and then I'll break and I'll lose it and I won't stick to my intentions, and that's fine too, because this is just basically like this is your work to do. You're the one asking for feedback on how to communicate with them. Who knows if they're asking for feedback? Who knows if they're going to do the work? Everyone needs to be doing work, but like that's not the point. The point is this is your work to do, and learning how to love unconditionally is both the hardest thing in the world and the most rewarding for everybody involved. It doesn't mean letting people treat you like shit. There are boundaries. There's boundary setting involved in loving unconditionally, but it does mean accepting somebody for where they are at their developmental level and just not blowing up at them about it, not making them feel badly about it, doing the internal work to just go, okay, all right, yep, all right, well, I love you. Sometimes you just need to disconnect in a conversation for your own well-being, and that's fine too. But I would say your parents are the perfect training ground, if you will, to practice unconditional love, which will enrich your friendships and your romantic relationships and your relationships with your future kids. If you can figure out those areas where your input on someone else's life is not going to help and also is going to cause tension, those are the times when you just go, okay, yep, let me know. Let me know if I can help you with being where you're at. And then you can have someone to rage to about it, but your parents aren't the people to rage to about it. It just doesn't work. It's not going to get either of you anywhere. And leading by example, I just will finish on this, doesn't mean that they'll follow you. If they do, great. And if they don't, you are strengthening your own mind and body. You're just being the healthiest version of yourself that you can be. And that is how I handle these situations. I hope that helps.